Hi, and welcome to this live reading from The South Seas Shenanigans, a Sparky of Bunker Hill Mystery by Rosalind Barden. And this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Nightfall. As the lights of Los Angeles faded into the distance, the latest tunes from 1932 thumped through the wooden deck from the shipboard band, along with laughter and the rumble of the ship's engines. Beneath the rising moon and the strings of lights, I saw the other two stowaways peek from under the lifeboat's canvas cover. One looked like a high school boy with a tanned face. The other was a girl who looked about my age, 11. Both had matching blue eyes and the same unruly dishwater blonde curls. Funny, I had curls like them, though my eyes were gray. These two had to be brother and sister. Their blue eyes stared, afraid. No wonder after seeing me ambushed and pinned to the deck by a foot. I thought I had escaped my troubles by stowing away across the Pacific, but they'd only begun. Sparky, 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 aren't you exactly what I'm looking for? Get up, now! The foot moved off my chest. I closed my eyes. This can't be happening. Out here on the ocean, the city's September heat was long gone. The cool breezes smelled of fish and smoke from the ship's stacks. I shivered in my white sailor dress I had put on only that morning for school. I had no idea that I'd end up here. I still didn't want to believe that of all the nightmares, I had to run into Petunia, owner of the foot. Last call, Sparky, before I start dragging you. She grabbed a hunk of my curly hair and twisted. Yes, perfect. This will do nicely. She tugged. Hard. I'm getting up, please. Look at me, tough Sparky, begging and pleading. Petunia was older than me, maybe 12. She was bigger and stronger. I had a reputation as a crack fighter from my street kid days, but I was no match for Petunia. No one was. I clambered to my scabbed knees and stood. I clutched my stolen library book tight. That book was all I took with me for my journey across the Pacific. March, she ordered. I saw the other stowaways quickly duck back into their lifeboat and pull the cover shut. I was Petunia's prisoner, and she hated me. As she marched me down metal steps, the party's sounds grew louder. I heard the pop of champagne corks. Prohibition was no problem on this swanky ship. Bookie and his boss Chum Chum might have stocked this boat with the necessary booze in ordinary times, but Chicago had run them out of town. They were off to new criminal adventures without me. They weren't the only ones who'd left me behind. Tootsie LaFemme, the once silent scream star, and her mysterious assistant Gilbert Grossman, with his strange accent and scar over one eye that made me think of him as the Goblin, were also off to parts unknown. After a long dry spell, she landed a movie role, but it was shooting somewhere outside Los Angeles. I'd been living in Tootsie's Bunker Hill mansion in downtown Los Angeles since the summer. It was my first real home. And now I was supposed to stay with my best friend Bobby in his book-stuffed house while they were gone. The problem, Bobby was mad at me. On top of everything, school was a disaster, despite Bobby trying to help me catch up for all the time I missed from school while I was living on the streets and running for Bookie. It was Cornelius, the kid who worked in his granddad's weird pet shop, who came up with the idea of stowing away across the Pacific. Only hours ago, I decided this was a solid plan. Everyone was taking off. My life was over. Why not stow away? So I left everything I knew on Bunker Hill. Forever. It was for an unknown future across the ocean. The bulls who were combing the docks for stowaways captured Cornelius before he got on board. So I was going it alone. Only I wasn't. I was with Petunia. I changed my mind. I wanted my old life back, but it was gone. Petunia prodded me forward along the deck, down more metal stairs that felt cold on my bare feet, deeper into the bowels of the ship. We reached a metal door. The door had a round window high up, about at grown-up eye level. A dim light came through, like the window was covered with a curtain on the other side. Petunia pushed the door open and shoved me through. I landed inside a large room. A dozen girls, all about my age, 11, stood tightly clustered together. They turned to stare when Petunia barged in after me. The girls wore sparkly costumes and glitter-pasted dance shoes. Around the room, more costumes hung on racks that bent under their weight. Colorful hats, fabric, ribbons, and shoes overflowed from boxes. The mess reminded me of Tootsie's maze of closets stuffed with her old silent movie costumes from when she was a big star. Found her! Petunia shouted toward a small man in a suit standing at the back of the room. He was berating a trembling girl in a glitter tutu. You're doing everything wrong, he snapped at the girl. Goosebumps traveled up my arms. That voice was familiar. No, no. Petunia hauled me toward the man and threw me at his feet. I looked up as the man turned his face away from the tutu girl and fixed his spectacles on me. Mr. Beale. He was Tootsie's voice coach and was useless as far as I could hear because Tootsie's singing sounded like a hollering duck. What I did know was that Beale disapproved of me from the moment he spotted me at Tootsie's mansion. He enjoyed talking about punishment for bad kids like me. I froze. What would he do to me? Throw me overboard? I told you she couldn't escape from me, Petunia said with a satisfied chuckle. Mr. Beale said nothing and kept staring at me. Finally, he frowned and said, I never did like how this girl looks. She reminds me of a child who is most disobedient and needs direction. Harsh direction. The puzzle pieces snapped together. The hair, a curly dishwater blonde hair, looked the same as the stowaway girl's hiding in the lifeboat. Petunia was supposed to capture her and bring her back to Beale. Instead, she found me. With the hair, I could kind of pass for the runaway girl. Petunia probably decided I'd be more fun to torment. Oh, yeah, Petunia agreed. I think some harsh direction will bring her in line. Excellent. Mr. Beale's face lit up like it always did when he spotted me at Tootsie's house and tried selling her on his punishment ideas. Lucky for me, punishment wasn't something Tootsie or Gilbert were into. Not so Petunia. Beale looked up, thinking. Harsh direction, he murmured. He rubbed the thin hairs on his nearly bald head, plastering them flat. Yes, get her back in costume and get her ready, he decided. Rehearsal begins in 5. He strode out the door. As he passed the girls, they huddled together, trembling, trying to keep as far away from him as possible. After he was gone, they relaxed, but only a little. Petunia threw a costume at me. It had tights, tap shoes, a red, white, and blue top hat, and a red, white, and blue sparkling dress-like outfit that looked too small for me. Hurry up. Get in it before the director gets back. When I didn't move, she barked. I'm the production assistant, so you'd better do what I say, or else. This was so unbelievable. How did you get this job? I asked. Petunia chuckled. Wouldn't you like to know? Then she fixed her crazy eyes on me. Up 2. There's no changing rooms here, so don't get all shy. Pull that thing on, or I'll pull it on for you. Cripes and cripes some more. It's a good thing the ship bulls nabbed Cornelius. If he were here, Petunia would have forced him into a glitter costume. I ducked behind a colorful row of tights hanging from a clothes rack, pulled off my sailor dress, and struggled to put on this crazy outfit. I rolled my stolen library book into my sailor dress to hide it. I worried if Petunia thought about my book too much, she might fling it overboard. Through the legs of the hanging tights, I saw the tutu girl step up to Petunia. That's a different girl, she said. So? Petunia snorted, half laughing. As long as she passes enough for the music director, who cares? I guess, the girl mumbled. I saw her fade back into the huddle of glitter girls. They traded whispers with one another. You done? Petunia snapped as she pulled me out from behind the clothes rack. She tugged the tights up and pulled the glitter outfit down. This isn't a strip show, you idiot. Where's your hat? She found it and shoved it on my head. Too hard. Where's your shoes? They don't fit. This was true. Those shoes were for a 9-year-old or a girl with little feet. My feet were too big anyhow from all my years of running around Bunker Hill barefoot. Make 'em fit. She jammed them on my feet. My toes had to crunch up to fit. Ow, ow, ow. Good enough, she mumbled. Where's your twirling stick? I shrugged. I had no idea what she was talking about. Her face became dark, glowering. That was the Petunia I remembered. Just in time, Tutu Girl came forward with a slim blue cane that had a red tip at one end and a white tip at the other. It was over there, she told Petunia. Petunia grabbed the cane, shoved it at me, and shoved me toward an open space at one end of the room. Places, everybody, Petunia shouted. He'll be back any second. Girls joined me. I noticed I was in front and they stood behind me. What am I supposed to do? I asked Petunia. The girls looked nervously at each other but said nothing. Do anything, she said. Doesn't matter. He'll get mad no matter what, so who cares? I stared at her with my mouth hanging open. Petunia grinned at me, showing all her teeth. Smile, Sparky. You're the new star of the show. With a bang from the metal door opening, Beale strode back into the room. Before the door swung shut, I heard an angry voice outside. You cheated me. You robbed everybody. It was a squeaky, boyish voice. I couldn't tell if it was a man or woman or kid or grown-up. Beale quickly shoved the door, making sure it shut with a solid click. Whoever was outside kicked it, banging the metal so hard the dingy brown curtain over the door's round window shook. Then silence. Beale looked at the closed door and snorted. He put his nose in the air. The dancing girls and Petunia looked at him but said nothing. Interesting. What was that all about? Ignoring what happened, Beale turned toward Petunia. Are we ready? He demanded. Yep, Petunia said. She eyed me and grinned. Beale strode behind a music stand in front of our group. The stand looked similar to the one Tootsie had in our mansion's music room where she rehearsed with Beale. He plucked a stick from the stand. I recognized that stick. It was a stick he waved around while Tootsie did her version of really bad singing. Beale tapped the stick on the stand. He lifted both arms high. Then, over-dramatically, he waved around his arms and that stick. At this, I heard tap dancing sounds coming from the girls behind me. I didn't know squat about dancing. I'd seen other people dance, but I didn't know how. I started stomping my feet here, there, whatever. The girls behind me started making a humming, singing sound. Okay, I started humming too. Beale slammed the stick on a stand. Then he picked it up again and pointed it at me. I stopped. The tap dancing and humming from the girls behind me petered out. You missed your cue. Start singing! He glared at my feet and pointed his stick at them. I did not tell you to stop dancing. Now sing! Singing was also something I knew squat about, but a memory drifted into my head about my mom. She loved to sing and dance around the cousins' apartment when we lived there, though only when they weren't home. There was one song, a simple one, that she sang a lot. As soon as the cousins were out of the apartment and it was safe, she'd pull out her favorite record from her stash that she kept hidden from the cousins, plop it down on the gramophone, and crank up that music machine. Problem was we weren't allowed to touch the cousins' gramophone. They found out one day when they came back too soon. That was the end of my mom's records. She cried a lot over those smashed records. Before that sad business, we had fun. I loved to clap and laugh as she sang and danced. The basic words of her favorite song popped into my head. Okay, let's give this a go. I started stomping again and belted out because my mom said you got to sing it loud so all the characters in the back row could hear. There's a gal from Chattanooga down Chattanooga way. There's a gal from Chattanooga and she shakes her caboose all day. Shake your caboose. Shake, 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 shake your caboose. Shake, shake, shake. The girls behind me, soft, uncertain at first, but then louder, started up a chorus repeating, shake, shake, shake. I remembered my mom did a lot of caboose shaking when she sang that song, so in for a penny, in for a pound, I started doing the same. I didn't know any of the other words or if there were any other words, so I kept repeating the same words over and over again, all while stomping and shaking my caboose. Beale suddenly slammed his stick down on the stand. The girls behind me fell silent. My shake, shake, shake trailed off, and I stopped moving, too. Frowning, Beale turned his head toward Petunia. This is new music. Petunia stared back at him and said, Yeah. She kept staring at him. I had to say Petunia was one cool customer and didn't melt a drop under Beale's beady-eyed stare. He raised an eyebrow. Why? Petunia shrugged. He crunched his eyebrows together. I could tell he didn't know what to do about this mysterious music change. It dawned on me that there must be someone else higher up the food chain who made decisions about things like music for this show. I had no idea what was going on with this dancing show or why, but I got the picture that Beale was just a little boss, not the big boss. After doing some thinking and frowning, he decided, very well. Then he turned to face us dancing girls, tapped his stick, raised it, and the show started up again. There's a gal from Chattanooga down Chattanooga way. It wasn't too long before he slammed his stick on the stand. The girls fell silent. I was getting to know how the rules ran in this shop, so I froze and shut up too. Beale pulled a ruler from his stand and marched to the girls behind me. You are to stand exactly 6 inches apart, no more, no less. I turned and saw he was measuring the space between the girls and pushing them here and there to correct how far apart they were. The show started up again, then stopped, then started, then stopped. Each time he spotted costumes that weren't right. My hat was at the wrong angle. Someone's shoe was missing a spangle. The singing was all wrong. My caboose shaking was utterly substandard. Funny, when he worked with Tootsie, he was all cooing and sugar, telling her how wonderful her singing was, no matter how substandard her howling sounded. What a phony. Finally, with face red and steam nearly coming from his ears, he pointed his stick at us and shouted, "You are abominations!" He flung his stick down on the stand, then turned toward Petunia. "We are done for tonight. No food or drink for these disappointments. We start again first thing tomorrow morning, and I pray they have learned their lessons."